So what even is mycology? Well, mycology is the study of fungi. There are lots of different kinds of fungi, many different branches of mycology, but what a lot of people are mostly interested in is macro fungi. Larger fungi, larger mushrooms that you can see a visible fruit body of. If you want to learn about mycology, I recommend using some online resources. Mushroom Expert is a fantastic website run by Michael Kuo, and it's kind of the gold standard if you're looking for a good description of a mushroom to really learn about what to look for when identifying it. Facebook groups and things like that can be really valuable, especially for beginners, but you want to make sure and learn the trusted members of the Facebook groups. There are a lot of guessers on there, so don't get caught up in the guessing game. Find the people who know what they're talking about. Field guides are certainly a perfect way to get into mycology. I recommend that you find a regional field guide for the area that you live in, and that way you know that the mushrooms that you're finding in that guide will be mushrooms that you yourself can find. Take a picture from back so you can see that it had a group of them. They're growing on a hardwood tree. Then you just get close till it's not blurry anymore. Make sure it's focused, and then get a photo, and then get closer. And if you find a polypore that's like hairy on top or some other feature that you think would be important, just try to zoom in as far as you can and get a shot of it. And then you just pop the shelf right off of the wood, and flip it over. Oops. And then you always want to get a picture of the underside of basically every mushroom. And it's important with polypores because the shape and structure of their pore surface is often crucial for identifying them. This is Trametes lactinea, and I can tell that because it has really circular pores on the underside, and it has these kind of brownish bands on the top. Its common name is the latte bracket, so you can see how it kind of gets that name. This one is really immature, so you can't see its pores really closely, but if you look up really close, they're super circular. There are a couple other, this polypore will be white after another several weeks, and then there are lots of white polypores that grow on fallen logs that look really similar, so the pore surface is the key to knowing the difference. Mycology has a lot of different branches of things that you can learn about. So you can learn to grow mushrooms or cultivate them. You can learn how to take advantage of the medicinal properties of fungi, or you can just nerd out on the taxonomy of fungi and learning about all the different relationships between all the different mushrooms. Mycology is definitely something that takes a long time to learn and a lot of dedication to really figuring out what kind of features that you need to see to learn about different mushrooms. Some brand new fresh Stearium. Oh, Stearium fasciatum, yeah. That's what people usually call the false turkey tail because it has the zonate coloration on the cap top. So similar to a turkey tail, but the underside is smooth and brown, whereas turkey tail would be porous and white. Yeah. Careers in mycology. Mycology has historically been somewhat of a neglected arm of the life sciences. It was only in 1969 that the kingdom fungi was erected. So before that, fungi were classified as plants. So we have come a long way in the last 55 years learning about fungi. There are lots of opportunities to make a career out of studying mushrooms. Now, there's not a lot of money in taxonomy or identifying mushrooms, but there are so many different branches. You could be a mushroom cultivator and learn the ins and outs of growing your own mushrooms, and they're very valuable. You can sell them for all kinds of different things, from food to medicine to finding novel compounds for industry. As far as books go, I live here in the lower Midwest, mid-Missouri. If you want to find a regional field guide, the basic one would be Maxine Stone's Missouri's Wild Mushrooms, published by the Missouri Department of Conservation. And that book is really great for kind of entry-level mycology. When you're just starting and you're trying to learn as many species as you can, it's great if you live in the Midwest because all of the species there can be found. And a bonus is that there are plenty of recipes in there that are very nice. A couple other good books. My friend Jay Justice and along with Dr. Britt Bunyard have published Amanitas of North America a couple of years ago. It is an absolutely gorgeous book published by Fungi Press. This is a breakdown of all of the North American Amanita species, which there are a lot of them. It's a beautiful book, practically a coffee table book. It is also a vast wealth of information about Amanitas. Britt Bunyard also has a really cool book called The Lives of Fungi, which covers a broad array of different types of fungi and also breaks down a lot of the mycology basics. How do mushrooms function in the environment? How do they grow? How do they do all the wonderful things that they do? So I highly recommend that you check out that book as well. Mushrooms of the Midwest, written by Michael Kuo, who is the man who runs the Mushroom Expert website, and co-written by Andy Metfin, who is a renowned mycologist and one of the chief mycologists for the Missouri Mycological Society. Mushrooms of the Midwest contains far more species than Missouri's wild mushrooms. It has, I think, a couple hundred species in it with really good descriptions, and the taxonomy is a little more updated than most of the other Midwest mushroom guides. So that's really a great place to start. Also has some really great information about how to do microscopy on fungi, and also just some kind of basic mushroom information, which can be very helpful, especially when you're first getting into mycology. So another good book, if you're here in the Midwest, if you want to learn about mushrooms, especially if you really want to learn how to figure out which mushrooms are edible and how to prepare them in the kitchen, is Mushrooms of Illinois and Surrounding States. So this is written by Joe McFarland and Greg Mueller, both seasoned mycologists, and they have put together a book that has some really fantastic recipes, excellent photographs, lots of comparisons between lookalikes and edible mushrooms. So I highly recommend seeking that one out as well. So you can see that this coral is growing from wood, right? There's only a couple of species in our area that grow from wood. And this one is Artomyces pyxidatus, the crown-tipped coral. Check it out. Now you can see why this is a mushroom that a lot of people find, and then they will think all the coral mushrooms are this one. So a lot of people do that because this one is always in field guides. But if you look at the tips of all of its branches, see how it has like an extra couple of branches on the tip of each, and they have little bitty tips on the tip. So it
keeps going.
Yes, it splits several times. So that's why it's called the crown-tipped coral. And the key is that it grows on wood, because a lot of the coral mushrooms grow right from the ground. They're mycorrhizal. This is a saprobic coral that grows right from wood. It even has its own genus, Artomyces. Pretty, huh? So basically the key to learning mycology though is to get into the fields, which is where we are right now, right here in this rich, lush, late spring forest. We did a foray today for the Mycological Society, found almost 60 species today. So there's really no better way to learn about mushrooms than to go on a foray. A foray is basically a guided mushroom walk with some mushroom experts who have a lot of experience and kind of know what to look for and how to teach you how to identify mushrooms. If you want to be a mycologist, you don't have to pursue a degree in the sciences to be a good mycologist. In fact, some of the most respected and renowned mycologists in North America, at least, are amateur mycologists, meaning they don't have a mycology degree and they may not have a degree of any kind. But they're just people who got really excited about mushrooms and really learned a lot about them and are able to convey those learnings to others. I myself would be categorized as that. I don't have a mycology degree, but I've been into mushrooms for 15 years, so I have accumulated a lot of good knowledge about fungi, especially of my region here, and I enjoy teaching it to others. I think if you want to learn mycology, your number one thing is to join a mycological society. Go on some forays, plug yourself into that mycology community that certainly exists wherever you live, and find some mushroom people that are willing to teach, and there are a lot of them. It's a great community. Everyone that I've met in the mycological community is perfectly happy to share their knowledge with anyone who wants to listen.